5 driver golf tips that are going to help you if you're a senior golfer, junior golfer, male, female, any ability. These are 5 golf swing tips to help you hit better tee shots, better drives, to allow you to hit more fairways, straighter, longer tee shots. I'm going to highlight 5 of the most common mistakes that I see with people hitting driver and how to fix them. So you're going to see the mistakes and get an idea of how to fix them so you can hit straighter, longer, better drives all round. Boom. That's a rip. Remember, if you like the information in this video, to check out my newsletter. It's free, it's weekly, links down below. Come and join the community. There's a lot of giveaways and a lot of fun in there. Driver golf tip number 1, how the club lies on the ground. This is such a common issue. Now, the driver is built to sit not flat on the ground, with the toe end slightly higher than the heel. Because it's a flat face, you can actually hit it from any live position. So if you're someone who is 6'2", 6'4" and up, you're going to find that your driver is less toed up than someone who is 5'11", 5'4", those kind of heights. So you're going to be more toed up the shorter you are, and a little bit higher with the handle if you're much taller. But you have to get really tall, like we're talking like basketball player tall, for you not to have the toe slightly in the air. And the reason this lie is so important is to do with what it does at this end, and then in turn how that is interpreted by the golfer as they move that club around their body. So I'm 5'11", pretty standard height for a male, so lots watching are going to be around this height, and I start with my driver around 7 degrees toed up. Okay, and what that allows me to do is position the club through the good part of my palm for grip, so it's enabling this hold rather than this hold, which is a big common fault as well. Bonus fault for you there. Think about the hole going up through the middle of your palm. That is made so easy for me trying to sit this driver flat on the fork, which lots of golfers try to do. They think like an iron, it should be sat flat down. Now, the higher that club gets through that palm, the higher that pushes me up as my stance. This now encourages often a more upright over the top action. Very weak wrist angles as well. And that's the common shot you get when people are actively trying to sit the club flat on the ground. So the way you position this club on the ground has serious influences on the way you hold it, which will have serious influences on the way the club face works, which then will have huge influences on the club path. This is one of the key simple golf swing driver tips that you all need to follow. Make sure the toe end of the club is slightly in the air at setup. Now your driver setup's been fixed with that nice little tip. Number 2, it's slow, deliberate takeaways with the driver. So really slow, deliberate takeaways. Then big changes of speeds with the driver, encouraging big curvature. Now, this one gets a lot of pushback, I know. I am talking about hand speed. So how fast your hands are moving as you take that club away, which in turn will move out towards club head speed as well. And I am talking about measured facts, truth, data, not what you feel. Because often when we get students who come and push back on this, when we measure them, the speed of the hands or what they feel the speed of the hands is doing is often not really what they're doing until you start doing some drills like we're going to give you here. This is such a key driver golf lesson for so many of you. So the reason a slow takeaway is not so good for most golfers, this is a pattern we see with world-class players over and over again. So their pattern is their hand speed as they move that club away is actually quite quick, because they're trying to slow down into transition to then speed up in the early part of downswing transition. So they go quick to slow to quick, and they actually start slowing their hands up about here into the ball, believe it or not, because they want that bit traveling fast. So they're trying to throw energies out. Now, the trouble with having a slow, deliberate takeaway, which makes lots of golfers feel very secure and happy and safe, is it encourages what we call a bounce back at the top. So they go slow, and then they put the speed into transition, which encourages what we call this bounce back, where the club literally is going so fast that it kind of halts and then bounces back. Often that encourages this angle of attack, making that club go from outside, hitting down on the ball, horrible strikes, sky drivers, slice drives, all those things. So we want you to actually have a faster takeaway so you can have some control of transition. You've actually got some timing of transition, which is where for lots of golfers it all goes very wrong in that transition. Transition, believe it or not, starts as soon as you take that club away, because the paces you're going at different times of this takeaway influence that transition. Easiest way to try and feel like you're actually getting some speed into that takeaway is I'm going to do it away from the ball to start. Put the club out in front of you, hand opposite lead leg, club say 2 foot out in front of the ball, and pull that club back and then through. This is a great way to get the feeling of that takeaway actually coming back with a bit of pace, slowing down into transition to then speed up into the start of the downswing part of that transition. You can actually do this hitting balls. It's not that easy. You have to come over the ball, but you can do it. You might not hit the best drives in the world, but it will allow you to get the feeling of a bit more speed into that transition, which is going to order all of your swing in a way more constructive manner. I absolutely love this drill. I've done it with beginners, I've done it with tour pros, and I've done it with good amateurs trying to improve how they order their golf swing. I know some of you are still pushing back in comments. That's fine. This is from measured data. You need to go from fast with hand speed to slowing down to fast to slowing down. That is just a repeatable order of good players. And it doesn't always coincide, remember, with what you think, which often makes the comments who push back on this kind of worthless unless you show me the data, because what you think you're doing when we measure it with students, it just isn't doing that. Driver golf tip number 3, which kind of relates with that more deliberate takeaway to changing it to a higher speed, is what we see from the deliberate slow takeaways is we see no grabbing, no braking force. So everything's just slow and kind of sways across. So issue number 3 is just swaying across. So getting to the top of the backswing and then feeling like you have to sway across. This has kind of been taught for years and talked about get your pressure or your weight onto your right foot, then back onto your left. The more we use force plates, like my Swing Catalyst dual force plates here, we measure better players. It's just simply not what they're doing. The pattern with better drivers is that they do move on to the right very early, and then they do this thing what we call recenter. They actually move that pressure quite even. They certainly recenter their hips when the club starts getting about this far on the backswing. And the way they do that is they actually have what we call a braking force. Amateurs often don't use braking forces to actually try and increase the speed they move into a bend. Think about it. If I'm going to drive a car towards a bend on the road, if I don't think my brakes are going to work, I have no braking force, then I'm probably going to go really slow and deliberate into that bend. Where if I know my brakes are working, I can go into that bend at the speed limit. It's quite a sharp turn, so then I slow down, braking force to then speed up out of it. You've got to have some braking force if you want to stop swaying and you want to hit your driver longer and straighter. Now you can do this drill in conjunction with this one where you're trying to pick up that speed in that takeaway. You're going to brake with the right foot. So the right foot, as you pull this club back, as soon as the club passes right foot, so out in front of you nice and quick, pull it back. As soon as it starts to pass right foot, so this way, I want you to feel like your trail foot is turning clockwise in the ground. What this will do in a real swing, as you pull back, it'll allow you to move on to that foot. Then as that foot starts to grab, turning clockwise in the ground, this will push your hips back and back towards target, getting these nice stretches, these kind of tour pro kind of back swings that you see, opposed to often more these ways with amateurs, where nothing's break down here, so everything's just swayed over to the right. And it will make a massive difference in, again, your transition and your chances of delivering that club on the way down. Now, this one's a bit abstract, so grab something like a head cover, just to give you the feel of this. Just going to move that ball out of the way, set yourself up to an imaginary ball, put your foot on the head cover. So we now haven't got the resistance in the ground for our spikes. So I want you to feel that foot twisting clockwise as you go back. So really push down and twist that foot open and that head cover open as you go. If you do this on a less grabby floor as well, you'll really start to feel it. Then without the head cover, same feeling. Feel like you're twisting it, but what's going to happen is your spikes on your shoes or the grip on the shoes will grip with the ground will push back at you and you will react. That's why these are called ground reaction forces. A little bit of speed into your backswing, good amount of braking force to get you coiling rather than swaying, now giving you every chance that you ever wished of hitting those longer, straighter drives. Driver tip number 4, this one's huge. We need to try and feel like as we start our downswing that we keep our back to the target for a little bit longer. So I mentioned it earlier, we see a good old bounce back from amateurs, really common issue, over the top, bounce back. Shoulders want to go this way quickly. So they really want to open quickly, sending the club out in front of you. Now from here, you realize you can't hit it this way. So now we start seeing these actions of trying to drop the club back down, or we don't. We just see people commit to that. So they start down and across. So we've now got hooks, slices, skies, whatever. Everything can come out from there. What we see from the world's best players, and it's again measured data, and it's only really slight, but as they start their downswing, they're back to the target for that split second longer, and then they speed up into ball. Amateurs are quick and then going very slow, compromising distance, so they're going to hit shorter drives, compromising strike, compromising their whole tee shots, to be fair. So really simple drill. Take your lead hand, place it on the front of the club here, so on the grip, with the palm facing towards target. And all I want you to do is go top of your backswing and stop. And then as you pull down, feel like this hand is just pulling back slightly, just keeping you back, arm and club to target for a longer to then turn through. What we see from like higher handicappers, place the club on this side and give it a little push. That's the way we see the forces want to go. So again, up to the top and stop. Just hold that back as you load into that lead side. Just drops that club down. It's now only going to go through the ball on a better path. And hopefully you can build up some power from the ground to send that ball longer and straighter. This is another drill. I've done it with so many players of all abilities. So if you're a beginner, a senior, a junior golfer, male or female, scratch, pro, whatever it is, this really helps get the feeling of that path and that backstay and the target for that fraction longer. Now, the fifth one, the golf swing driver tip that helps so many golfers, my mother included, who gets this wrong. Amateurs want to hit from the upper body down. So they really drive upper body across and down into lower body, meaning they're now stuck. They can't hit that ball. They are going to crash into that drive. They get the ball first, hit some good ones. They sky the next one. They say, what did I do wrong between the first one and the second one? They're the same action. You're just making an action that's going to make it really hard to consistently maybe hit level or even slightly up with your driver with good loft and good path. Because what we're seeing from better golfers is as they come in to hit the ball, their lower half has gone that way. Their upper half actually starts backing up. So their head back, hips forward. As simple as that. They're that way. Hips going, target way, upper body goes across and then starts backing up into the ball. So the more you can hit shots where you feel like you're keeping your head back of that ball with the driver, the better chance you've got at launching it well, hitting it more out in the middle and maximizing distance. So grab that head cover again. My one stands up. It's got Team Strixon written on this side. So when I look down from here, I can see Team and a bit of Strixon. I'm going to make a backswing where I feel like I can see a little bit more Strixon. I'm going to feel I move into the ball where I can see more of the word Strixon. If I was someone who drives from the upper body down, I can't see Strixon now. I can only see the word Team on this curve. So I'm taking that away. So don't go that way of it. Hit a few shots where you feel like you're really keeping that head back, looking at all the bottom of your head cover. You're going to find you hit some much better launch drives and some better distance from pure strikes. 5 simple golf tips to help you hit your driver better. If you want to learn how to hit your irons better using ideas like this, check this video out here.